Good morning, good morning, good morning, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, good evening, good evening, good evening. My name is John Shaquille Poitier Jr. And welcome back to my podcast, Darling. I'm depressed again. Don't tell my mother. Where we discuss mental health and mental health related topics in the youth, the adolescents, the teenagers, the primary schoolers, high schoolers, tertiary schoolers, college students, undergrad, overgrad, middle grad, black, white, Asian, listen, Bahamian American, every creed, every race, every shape, every form. Once you are a person, once you are a human being, once you are breathing, there is something for you here. Now, each episode, we have a certain word that ties everything together. It gives the episode a certain feeling, if you will, okay? So the word for the day is nuanced. Ooh, nuanced. And without further ado, let's get into this. So, the word nuanced can be defined as complex, subtle, and having many layers of variations, requiring careful consideration to fully understand. Okay, that's according to good old Google.com. And growing up, and as you'll find, that's how I start most of these podcasts. Growing up, just as a child, you tend to frame the world in a black or white mindset, right? You tend to frame the world and the people inside of it in either good or bad. So we put people into those two boxes, good or bad. If you do something nice to me, you're good. If you do something to me that's not nice, you're bad. And when we create those categories, we tend to stay with those categories, that category system, up until sometimes our teen years or even adult years. We go through life basically sorting people into these two boxes, right? And I did that for a very long time. I didn't acknowledge the nuance, there's the word of the episode, that people can have within them because human beings are complex creatures. Human beings are the emblem, the symbol of nuance, right? We are complex, we're intricate, we're delicately designed, we're all of those things. But in my mind, it was either you are good or you are bad. There is no in between, there is no left or right, there is no slight or not. And especially as a Christian, as a person who grew up in the church, and sometimes as a child, you don't quite fully understand the biblical characters. You don't quite fully understand their actions or the things that they do. You're so quick, and especially I was so quick to categorize people into good and bad, good and bad. So when I saw King David was good, but then he slept with someone's wife, he was bad. He was bad. For Saul made Paul, the apostle, when he was killing up all them Christians and just murdering all of them and like persecuting them and all of that stuff, he was bad. Even when he got forgiven after by God, he still was bad to me. And do you see where the issue comes in? When I denied people, or when I denied even a biblical character the right to nuance, right? When I denied a person the right to nuance, I denied them the right to forgiveness. Because in my mind, in my heart, I had already made the decision for them that they are incapable of doing one thing over the other. So if they already did one thing, they cannot do the next. And if they're doing one thing, then they cannot do the next. And if they happen to do something that's good and they're a bad person, then it's an entirely different anomaly. It's just so weird, one chance, one off thing. And it took me a little while to realize that I could not be like that. Especially talking to my older sister Jojo when I talked to her about it. Because, older sisters, she getting up there in age, she getting ancient, so she becomes wiser and wiser as she grows. She told me one time as we were driving that there are many gray areas in life. There are so many gray areas in life. And when we look at life as simply a black and white thing, not saying that there are not black and white areas in life, because there are black and white areas in life. But when we look at life as simply a black and white thing, we deny ourselves the chance to grow and the chance to recognize change and the ability to become new. We deny ourselves that chance to have nuance. And I know for me, when I denied someone the chance to have nuance, the ability to have nuance, right? When I made everything partisan, when I made everything just one straight road, it's one straight road, it made it so much harder for me to forgive people. For example, I had this teacher. Oh my Lord. Absolutely horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. In my opinion, to me, absolutely horrendous. And in my mind, I already filed her away as a bad person because she was just, if she was terrible. She was absolutely terrible. But there'll be times when I would see her with other students and they laugh and they chill and they love her and they adore her. And in my head, I'm like, that's just an anomaly because she is a bad person. I had to understand as I grew up that what a person means to me does not define what they mean to someone else, right? So the circumstances revolving around our relationship does not exactly determine how the rest of the world will see you. Because in my case, this teacher was just, whoa, Jesus, like every single time I stepped into her class, I had to pray to God to give me strength, determination, and the ability to sit down and keep my mouth closed because if I did not, it would not have been good. It would not have been good. A very, very, very provoking person. Very, and I do mean very, very provoking person. But when I denied her that chance to have nuance, like I keep saying, I denied myself the ability to forgive her for being such, to me, just not a nice person. It was difficult for me to forgive her for that. It was difficult for me to think that she deserved forgiveness for that because I had filed her away under completely malevolent, not something that I want to interact with, not someone that I want to encounter. If I do encounter you, it's a hindrance to my joy. It's just something that I don't want to do. And in doing that, I denied her the ability to be forgiven, which denied myself the ability to experience full peace. Do you see how it's tied together? So when you simply look at life as a black and white thing, especially when it comes to people, then you are denying yourself the right to forgive other people because you don't think they are worthy of forgiveness, because you think that they are one type of person, when in reality, as human beings, we can be a whole spectrum of emotions and thoughts and processes all piled together in one big mushy glue that we call a body. That's just the way that we work. We have thoughts, we have feelings, we change our minds, we just change our identities, we grow. Allow me to say that. Not so much necessarily change, but we grow, we transform. And in denying a person's ability to do that, I realized that I was denying their humanity. In denying a person's ability to have a different mindset, to have a different concept of thought, to in denying a person's ability to feel differently, to think differently than they did before, I was denying their humanity. Because humanity is defined by our nuance. We are defined by our ability to think and feel and do multiple things simultaneously or singularly or however we might do it, but that is what defines us as people. And when I have the inability to see past that, when I cannot see past the things that you did and I just line you up in that one dark area, then I am putting a limit on what I view as human. I am putting a limit on what I view as a person that should be respected, which is against the core values of my beliefs, by the way, as a Christian. As a Christian, it's against the core values of my beliefs because I am not meant to limit who I forgive. I'm supposed to forgive 70 times 7. Jesus Christ said, forgive 70 times 7 and all of that. And he didn't say it to give a finite number, but he said it because he truly wanted me to forgive in an unlimited manner, right? And even going back to biblical examples, those same characters who I had filed away in black and white, they were human beings with nuance. David was a human being with nuance. No matter how close David was to God, he was still a human being. He slept with another man's wife. He killed the guy. He killed the man after, because the man, he told the man, come on, come into the gate so that you can sleep with your wife and you can think the baby is yours. The man would not come into the gate because he was honorable to his country. He was honorable to his king and he refused. So David had the man put at the front of the battle and the man was killed. That's a bad thing. Objectively, that's a bad thing. But we know King David to be a good person, right? So if a good person does a bad thing, in my head, it was like, okay, they're still a good person. They're still a good person. If a bad person did a good thing, in my head, it was like, oh my gosh, they're still a bad person. They're still a bad person. It never occurred to me earlier on in my life to say that maybe, just maybe, as a human being, we are not just limited to good and bad, but good, bad, and a whole lot of the mess in between. And we deny ourselves the right to nuance. We deny ourselves the right to be spectacular in our ability to change and have emotions and have depth. Life isn't as black and white as it seems. It's never been black and white, really. It's never been black and white, except for some instances. Like I was talking to my same oldest sister yesterday, Jojo, and she was like, "There are some things. Yeah, there are some things. Oh, for sure, they're black and white. It's a yes or no. It's a yes or no. Yes or no." And I agree with that. There are some things. It's a simple yes or no. Yes or no. Some things aren't nuanced. But as human beings, as people, as individuals, there are very few things that we do that don't incorporate our nuance. There are very few thoughts that we have. There are very few behaviors that we exhibit that don't incorporate our nuance as people. And it's so crazy because I was so obsessed with perfection. I loved the concept of perfection because if I am perfect, it brings me closer to God. And if I'm closer to God, then I'm doing something right. And I realized I was going about it all wrong because the concept of human perfection, in the way that I was trying to practice it, distanced me from my nuance. It separated me from my nuance. And anything that actually separates you from your nuance can effectively separate you from your humanity. Because as human beings, we are functionally imperfect. That's just who we are. We are functionally imperfect. We are going to make mistakes. We are going to mess up so many times that we don't believe, we can't possibly understand why we're still going, why we're still doing what we do. We're going to mess up. We're going to. But I was obsessed with the concept of perfection because maybe if I can be perfect, maybe if I can deny my nuance, right? Deny the gray area of life that has me questioning my identity, then God will say, hey, you are doing a good job and you are everything that I want you to be and everything that I know you to be. I had demonized nuance because being anything other than perfect meant that I was pushing myself away from God in my mind. That's the way that worked. And outside of a spiritual aspect, being anything other than perfect meant that I was not worthy of love or the compassion of the people around me, not worthy of the love of my friends, of my family, of my people that I interact with, colleagues, not worthy of the respect or admiration of anyone around me. That's how I defined myself, right? And it was not fair to me to do such a thing because you function and I function off of nuance. I function off of my depth, off of my ability to think, off the balanced aspects of my brain. Everything in my brain is not sunshine and rainbows, y'all. I letting y'all know now. Every single thought in my brain is not sunshine and rainbows. I do not. This is not a sunshiny, always perky, smiley, jumpy up and down head. That's not the type of person that I am. There are some dark days. There are some days where I don't want to get out of bed. There are some days where I just want to tell everyone, man, I'm afraid you all and go somewhere else. There are some days where I want to do that as a person. But more often than not, I do have the joyful days. I have the great days. I have the days where I'm so glad and I'm so wonderful. And the few days that I do have those dark feelings, those dark emotions, that's simply the thing that makes me human. Experiencing those things, that's what makes me human. Now, do I dwell in those feelings? No, because I still have to get up. I still have to keep on going. I still have to keep on pushing. I still have a job to do. I still have things to do. So I don't dwell in those feelings, but I acknowledge that they are there. Because when I deny those feelings, I deny my, say the word of the episode with me, I deny my nuance. I deny my complexity and my emotional depth. It's impossible for me to always 24/7 be happy. There are going to be some times where I experience anger, sometimes where I experience sadness, sometimes where I experience joy, sometimes where I experience grief, a lot of times, sometimes where I experience the whole rainbow, the whole skittle bag of emotions. It's just a whole skittle bag. Just rip it open, pour it out, shake it up, and yeah, bite it up and see what you get. There will be times where we experience multiple things like this as human beings. That's the way we work. That's the way we do it. That's just us. And I had demonized my emotions to such a point whereas I felt that if I was experiencing anything other than joy, I was being nuanced. Therefore, I was being imperfect. Therefore, I was literally messing up. If I'm experiencing anything other than joy, emotions themselves are a whole process of nuance. The way that we think and feel about certain situations, about how things impact us, about how we do. There are rare situations where we feel just one thing about a certain thing. For example, when my sister left for college, I was so happy for her. I was elated for her. But I also was incredibly sad. When my other sister joined the police force, I was so happy for her. I was so enraptured with joy and it made my heart burst. But I wanted her to be safe. I wanted her to feel safe and be safe. And she would not be home. So it's not like I would be able to monitor that. So there were multiple emotions tied into the feeling of joy. Yes, I'm feeling joy, but simultaneously, I feel a little sadness. My sister's leaving. And simultaneously, I feel a little worry. My sister's about to go through a process that's going to train her to be something different. Your emotions, denying even your emotions down to your emotions, the nuance that they deserve will have you so messed up in the head that you would wonder what is going on around you. That is how bad it is. Like, that is how bad it was for me. When I tried to deny myself the right to anything but joy, like, I functioned as a hyper sunshiny person. I was hyper sunshiny. Like, what? You could put me up in the sky and you would think the sky about I outshine in the sun. What? What? Me? I'm outshining the sun. Please, please, the sun. Sun who? 98 million miles away. Who? The sun right here on Earth, boy. What? I shining, 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 y'all. I like that money. Like, I am so happy. I am so joyful 24/7, 24/7, 24/7. Then I had to ask myself, JJ, you okay? Because someone just told you, for example, going back to that example of the teacher I just told you all about, that teacher just insulted the hell out of you. And you just smiling, you just laughing, you just joyful about it. You want to feel angry about it, but you're not allowing yourself to do that. You want to feel sad that she would insult you in this way, but you're not allowing yourself to do that. John, are you okay? Are you okay in denying yourself the nuance that you so rightfully deserve as a human being, the nuance that is ingrained in your heart? A lot of times we demonize nuance, like I said, because we think it makes us imperfect. But spoiler alert, you're a human being. You are going to be imperfect either way. You are going to be imperfect. You can mess up. You could do something that's out of the way. You are going to screw up. You are going to miss the mark sometimes. You can miss the bridge sometimes. You could want to jump. Like, there are 100 million different things simultaneously happening to you as a human being, around you as a human being, for you as a human being, against you as a human being. And you cannot expect to have one singular thought, one singular emotion, one singular action towards those things at all times. It's just not possible. And that's why I believed that God gave us nuance as a gift. Now, for some of the Christian listeners who are listening, because y'all may be like, oh, is that biblical? Is that biblical? I go back to the point in time where I saw Jesus exhibiting strong emotions, and they weren't always joy. Jesus got so angry, he started flipping over tables in the temple. He said, "You have made my father's house into a den of thieves." Jesus's cousin died. It was Lazarus, his cousin? Sorry, misquote. His friend died. Apologies. And he was so saddened by their lack of faith that he cried. The Bible says Jesus wept. Shortest verse in the Bible, Jesus wept. Jesus showed sadness. Jesus showed anger. Jesus showed joy. But Jesus was perfect. Whoa! Jesus, as a human being, had access to all the nuance that we deny ourselves, and Jesus was still considered perfect. Do you know why? Because there is nothing wrong with having a variety of thoughts and emotions inside of you. There is nothing wrong with feeling multiple things, with wanting to carry out multiple thoughts, with interacting with multiple processes. There is nothing wrong with it. And the fact that you have demonized it means that you have demonized the imperfection that you naturally have. Mic drop. Boom. Because we're looking at things that Jesus did. Jesus did those things. Jesus did those things. Bible says even the young shall grow weary. Even the people who are so strong in the word, sometimes they feel down. Taking it outside the Christian perspective, sometimes we feel broken, and some people look to us for the joy. People look to us for the comedic relief, but we don't feel like laughing. That nuance is a gift from God. It allows us to look at situations from multiple perspectives, and it allows us to have access to forgiveness. Because when we can understand someone else's imperfection, it helps us to better understand the fact that no person will always get it right. Now, I'm not saying you got to reconnect with someone just because they nuance. That's not what I'm saying. Pay attention to the words that are coming out of my mouth. Pay attention to these words. Pay attention to my words. Pay attention to my words. What I am saying is every human being has messed up, has slipped up. Some have stayed down and some have gotten up. I never slip. I never fall. Alana, I mean a number, but I never call. Every human being has. And because of the gift of nuance, we understand that though we may not be capable of perfection, we are capable of feeling down, but still working at the same time. We are capable of feeling down, yet still feeling okay at the same time because we know that we're getting to where we need to be. We are still capable of having these multiple streams of consciousness that enable us to progress as human beings and not regress into what we feel is letting us down. So the word of the episode, and the word of the episode has been nuance, not because we simply always mess up, but because it's about recognizing that though we mess up, it's okay to get up at the same time. It's okay to recognize that we won't always get it right. Now, as for that teacher that I spoke about at the beginning, I had to forgive her because I recognize she's a nuanced human being, just like I am. She has emotions. She has feelings. She has thought processes. She has all of the ins and outs and blah 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 blah. She has all of that stuff. Would I like to reconnect with her? Hell no. Hell no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. No 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 no. Because I love myself first and foremost. You only got one time to say, boy, what? You only got one time to say, John, you could go. You got one time, buddy, one time. But I forgive her because she is a nuanced human being. Do I wish that she had been better? Yeah, sure. Do I wish that she had been more decent? Yeah, sure. But at the end of the day, she did what she did. Some people love her, some people don't. That's the beauty of being. Say it with me, everyone, nuanced. This has been episode 7 of Darling, I'm Depressed Again. Don't tell my mother. I am your host, John Shaquille Poitier Jr., and I will see you next time.